This was a conspiracy before I knew about conspiracies, before I cared about conspiracies. This is something I heard when I was a kid, that Walt Disney cryogenically froze himself in order to one day be reanimated after, I guess, the technology got better.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
That's the rumor, but the funny part about it is, like, I'm sure if you look this up now, it'd be debunked by Snopes. But again, this is like before, like, conspiracies were chic. This is like way back in the 80s when I heard about this stuff. What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 84. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
Well, family, I'd like to say we're all here, but we're not. But once again, I'm your host, JT, as always. And I got with me Aaron Two Night Heart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here.
Brian took a trip to Las Vegas again, Sin City, to debate a Black Hebrew Israelite on the Sean Kelly podcast. And so, I mean, I hope Brian's okay. We haven't heard from him. We thought he might be here, but he's not. So hopefully he's with us in spirit.
Maybe he got converted.
Yeah, maybe. You think he's going to be Brian Shabazz Demon Erasers now?
Maybe Brian's a Black Hebrew Israelite now.
Yeah, maybe. So we've got I would say we have a very eclectic show, I think, just based on the videos that I've got. But some videos I wanted to get to last week that we just, for some reason, did not get to them. The thing that I wanted to start with was kind of the big news last week, but I think there's been more that's kind of dripped out, is this thing about Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, the daughter and son-in-law of the MAGA president, Donald J. Trump. This was interesting. Did you hear about this, Aaron, that Ivanka and Jared Kushner were going to build some kind of mega resort on this private island in Albania?
I don't know anything about this.
Well, good. You'll hear it from me right now.
Well. Turns out that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner aren't just buying a private island to build a luxury resort. Sazan Island is Albania's largest island and is strategically located, once an isolated, top-secret, Cold War military base featuring thousands of bunkers and miles of tunnels. Now, why in the world would our United States Special Envoy for Peace missions need an island with all of that? So when Ivanka said this,
the opportunity to help realize its potential and transform it, but with a lot of restraint and care, because the land is so beautiful that really the architecture has to be fully integrated into it, almost rise from it.
That's such a sweet story about preserving the beautiful land and the nature and building the architecture around that. But I wonder if you're building the architecture around something else. It's important to note that the Albanian people are not happy about this, and they're protesting in the thousands, and they're also demanding that the prime minister resign for allowing such a corrupt deal to go through. But again, I'm sure this purchase is just to build a big, beautiful luxury resort. not a personal bunker on an island. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Imagine the kind of power and influence and money and not give a craps you have to move into a nation and a community that despises you and not care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of hubris, and there's probably a lot of just being totally out of touch with the normal folks. As you think, oh, this, like, why wouldn't we buy a private island? Everyone does that. All our billionaire friends have private islands, sometimes in the Caribbean. I mean, you can't help but draw the similarities between the one famous island, Little St. James, and another group of billionaires trying to have a luxury place for their billionaire and millionaire friends.
But to not care about the locals at all, when it's like, I don't know, I guess the only way you could be not concerned about the locals is if you plan on never interacting with them. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have plans to never see them and never interact with them to just not care, or be so powerful that it's like, what are they going to do? I don't know. I just,
well,
I guess
the
I don't
fact
think
that it's a private island, I guess that's the whole idea, is that they don't have to interact with anybody that they don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not
That's
like it's
true.
for us. It's not like it's even for Americans that eventually that we could go check out this great historic place with underground military base tunnels and everything under there. I mean, of course, that's the thing that is really tripping me out, is like that. Again, we've talked about this topic ad nauseum on this podcast about all the things that are under the ground, the shows that talk about the underground things, Paradise, Fallout, Silo, and the Obamas and their private bunkers, and Zuckerberg and his private bunkers, all these elites with these private underground doomsday bunkers.
Yeah.
It is like they know something's up. They definitely know something's up.
Yeah, it makes you wonder the timeline though, right? Because like every time you see one of these new things pop up and it's like a new project, it's like, all right, well they can't be that concerned because they don't already have a bunker somewhere. There's obviously, we've still got time. You know what I mean? Like, until whatever happens.
Well, yeah, true, but I often wonder too, is that, so you hear about the very famous people that have underground bunkers, and that's the interesting thing. We talked about it before when we were talking about Greenland. Greenland had this thing that we're told was a Cold War era military thing that the Americans were doing over in Greenland, and they had this thing called Project Iceworm. And so they were talking about there's tons of tunnels and dumbs under Greenland. And of course, we brought up that movie with Gerard Butler, Greenland and Greenland 2, and it's all about that there's going to be some cataclysm, and then people are going to ride it out under this bunker system in Greenland. So what about all the other celebs and very powerful people that got their own bunker complexes that nobody's even telling us about? Like, that it's not news, because not everybody wants it to be on the news that they've built some kind of doomsday bunker.
Yeah. Did you ever see, I know you talked about this before, but did you ever end up watching Under the Silver Lake?
I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how, again, we always got to preface this, I don't recommend people watch it. I watched that movie a long time ago, but the one thing I remember from it was, because it wasn't just wealthy people in bunkers. Like, they sealed them shut in these bunkers with no way to get out.
Yeah, it was weird.
And
it was a weird
them,
movie.
It was a very weird movie. But sealing them shut in these bunkers and giving them, what was it, like 70 years of provisions or something absurd based on what they could afford. But they end up, we only get to see inside of one bunker, but like they sealed this guy into a bunker with 2 women and like all the things.
Like 3. Yeah, like 3 women, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And all the things that they were going to need for 70 years. A phone, I think, to the outside world in case they needed like a landline.
Wasn't it all decorated kind of in like a retro, almost like 70s looking style under there? It was like
Yeah.
what was the famous architect? It was like, was it it's like Floyd William Wright or something like that?
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. It looked like those kind of very modern looking 70s types homes with like the kind of like the stuff you see like in Mad Men. Like those
Yeah.
kind of those
Yeah.
kind of houses.
But yeah, man, it really does make you wonder. I don't know. I almost wonder if, because like bunkers are not a new thing, and I understand that like the military's used them over the years for different purposes, but it's almost like every generation is worried that we're at that point, right? And it's like everybody that's in the know that has money and power wants to get themselves some kind of a place with a bunker, with a fallout shelter, because they're afraid it could reach that point and they don't want anything to happen to them, because they've got the money. So why should they have to worry? They can build a place like that. But it's interesting though, right? Because like it's cyclical. Like it keeps happening. And obviously it's happened so many times in previous generations as well. And they were
Well,
wrong. They
especially
didn't need
during
it.
the Cold War. I mean, they used to teach like our parents to like get under your desk when there might be like the Red Scare from like nukes coming over from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like getting under the desk is going to do anything if what they tell us about nukes are true, which we're very skeptical of. Yeah, the other part is that it's kind of like what makes sense is that when a normal person wants to create like what you'd call like a doomsday bunker because they believe the tribulation's about to happen, those people are endlessly mocked and derided for
Well,
like the
yeah.
idea of these tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists that, oh yeah, you need this bunker because what do you think's going to happen? It's like, but these people do it all the time and nobody even blinks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the news doesn't think to question, hey, what do you guys need that for? I think because they know, and I think it is a situation where they want them to have the access to protection from whatever they think's going to happen or whatever they know is
Yeah.
going to happen versus people like us. And so you did ask a question, an important question about what is Ivanka Trump even thinking doing something like this when, yeah, the people are, they ain't about this. So maybe this little skit kind of maybe give you a window into Ivanka Trump's mindset when she was deciding to do this.
Do you see that?
What?
That island, I've never seen it before, which means no one's ever seen it before, which means it has unrealized potential. How has no one ever found this before? It's just being with the nature and experiencing it. It's like a tangible manifestation of all of my lived experiences. Erewhon and an equinox and a Starbucks reserve would help this organic structure really realize its full potential. Effectively, Daddy, we're going to need the greatest masters on planet Earth to bring the vision of this land to life. Geographically speaking, it's a trafficker's dream. So much unrealized potential. President Bagay, yes, I'm loving the island. How much to take it off your hands? Amazing. Do you take American Express?
That's amazing. I love the like the minimal effort he put in, where like it was just the cardigan in the hair.
So much unrealized potential. Yeah, you know, the one thing that the first, well, of course, that video didn't mention it, but the previous video didn't mention it because they were showing clips from this Ivanka Trump interview. But when Jared Kushner gave his interview about that, he gave more details about when they looked off into the distance, when they were on this boat and they saw this island. He told us whose boat he was on. Do you want to take a guess whose boat he was on?
Zuckerberg.
The last name started with an R.
Bezos?
The last name starts with an R.
Rockefeller?
Rothschild.
Oh gosh, I didn't
Nathaniel
go for that one because I
Rothschild's
figured
boat.
that was
they
the
were just
obvious.
hanging out with the Rothschilds, and they said, "Hey, that's a nice island over there. I think I might purchase it."
That's insane.
It's like, I mean, it really is. It's like you can't even make this stuff up. If like he didn't say that, people would say, "Oh yeah, this is probably some kind of a Rothschild's conspiracy." Maybe it is, but I guess the thing is they're not even shy about hiding it. They just like Jared Kushner speaking. almost like you see a lot of these tech billionaires, which Jared Kushner is a billionaire, but he's not a tech billionaire. He seems so robotic the way he's talking about this. And it's like a total disconnect between the people and even like what President Trump is the idea that he at least tried to promote as becoming president, that he wants things back to the people in America and all this stuff. And like these people cannot identify what regular people think or want or care about.
You know what's crazy about that? You're right. But what's crazy about that is it's got me thinking. So, according to what we have available to us to learn about the Rothschilds, so Amschel Rothschild, the dad, the father, the original, the one
Like Mayor Rothschild.
Yeah, well, like the one that started the
Mm-hmm.
banking dynasty. He was initially like a coin trader or like a
Coin clipper.
No, he sent, according to their story, he sent the different Rothschild sons to the different parts of the world to start banks.
Yeah, it was Paris, London, where was it? Was it somewhere in Austria? I think the other bank was.
I don't remember. You're better with continents and timelines as far as that stuff goes.
It was 3 major points in Europe. So London and Paris. I know that those were 2 of them, but I think it was Austria. I think that
and then it was even more as they expanded.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I'm just thinking,
but those
to myself,
were he sent his sons to head up these banks in these places in Europe.
Exactly. And it wasn't really a choice. It was, hey, you're going to go do this. You're going to expand the dynasty by doing this. And so I couldn't help but think to myself, when you're saying he's on this boat, a Rothschild boat, and they see this island, it almost makes me feel like whatever head honcho Rothschild was on the boat was kind of like, yo, that's where you guys are going to set up. That's where.
Right. Yeah. This wasn't like them saying, oh, that's cool. This was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I want you guys to be in charge of this.
It very well could be. It very well could be. And it could be because it's in close proximity of whatever next milestone they're trying to achieve.
I want to stick on the theme of bunkers, though, because this one tripped me out. This was a video I saw, and I was like, there's so many AI videos where like, is this real? Is this actually a real thing? When you make a show like we do, like I have to look at these videos because, and truth be told, I've been fooled a couple of times between like what's real and what's actually not real. Actually, I found a video earlier this week about this guy showing like a flying branch, and it turned out that was fake. But I kind of assumed it was fake, but then this guy admitted that he scammed people. But check out this video because this falls right in line with Paradise, Fallout, particularly Fallout and Silo. Check this out.
This is not a tree. It's a chimney to a completely underground time capsule home meant to mimic peaceful suburban life, complete with a manicured lawn and backyard pool. This is one of the original entrances, but nowadays there's a 2-story home built on top of it, so you can take these stairs 26 feet down. It's a doomsday bunker of sorts, constructed in the 70s when there was widespread fear of nuclear war. The extremely wealthy owner, Jerry Henderson, wanted more than an emergency hideout. He wanted to be able to live somewhere he felt safe from the impending disaster, but with all the luxuries of his dream home. There is 15,000 square feet of living space with murals on every wall that were not just random works of art, but each representing a different place Jerry lived, homes he owned, or places he and his wife loved to visit. There's an intricate lighting system with colored fluorescent bulbs around the perimeter so you can enjoy the simulation of nighttime, sunrise, dawn, dusk, and whatever this is. There's an outdoor pool, or is it considered an indoor pool? And a fully functional grill disguised as a rock. Now, why are we disguising a grill when it's already in the bunker? Also, there's a front door and a doorbell at the entrance of the underground home, which is funny because wouldn't you think if someone's already made it this far, they wouldn't use a doorbell? So is this guy crazy or is he just having fun? Anyway, the indoor space is about 6,000 square feet, so spacious and fairly untouched for a 70s home. You've still got this absolute dream of a kitchen with so many original working appliances, original tile and wallpaper and curtains, plus just look at that view. There's another room off the kitchen with completely upholstered and padded walls, and would probably be a great place to scream if you need to express how it feels to live underground. Jerry and his wife had separate bedrooms and bathrooms, and I did love his tub and still carpeted floor, but was the window by the toilet necessary? unnecessary. Like, come on, Jerry, we know this is a custom build. What's the story here? Mary's bedroom is very pink and soft, and her bathroom has a stunning light-up tub and mirrors. Sadly, the pink carpet has been removed due to some plumbing issues, but now that I'm seeing it, I think if someone built me this bathroom, they could convince me to live underground for a while. There's honestly so much more weird history around this place, like the fact that Jerry made a lot of his fortune from Avon, the cosmetics company. Also, there is a permanent Christmas tree up, allegedly because his wife Mary loved Christmas. And hey, if your husband's forcing you to live underground, you get to be a little kooky. Walking around this place, I could not stop thinking three things. One, this place is pretty sick and totally reminds me of a rich person's Midwest basement, but with a lot more lore. Two, maybe we were too hard on our parents for stocking their basement with canned food and water before Y2K. In hindsight, that actually wasn't too crazy. And three, I love a mural and delusional ways of living, but choosing to build a home underground where I'll never wake up with sunshine streaming into my bedroom or catch a glimpse of a rainbow out my kitchen window as the rain is clearing, where I'll never listen to an owl in the distance as I fall asleep. I don't know, maybe I'm being judgmental, but I kind of feel like I'd rather live a shorter life than cut myself off from so many reasons to want to be alive in the first place. Either way, this has definitely left a deep impact on me, and I have a feeling I'll be processing this and thinking a lot more about Jerry and Mary and their underground home for a very long time.
Seeing those low ceilings in the outdoor areas stressed me out so much. Like thinking of living in a space like that long term. Like I get it. Like if the Earth's surface is scorched or whatever, and it's not livable, and you're having to live down there, that's a pretty epic way to survive and live. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. But that speaks to what I was saying earlier about how like every generation has been concerned and worried and trying to prepare for nuclear fallout or Armageddon or chaos on the surface.
Or Y2K.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but tell me that's not almost exactly like what you kind of picture with like Fallout Las Vegas, like the video game.
Totally.
And then in the show, I forget what the kooky billionaire character was from Las Vegas in that, it's based on the video game lore. But something about it being in Vegas too is, I don't know, there's something even creepier about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I actually never played through the video game fully, so I don't know. I don't know how the lore goes, but it definitely has that Vegas vibe, especially that kitchen, that old school like retro kitchen.
Yeah, because what Fallout, the timeline's not the same as ours. It's like almost like an alternate type thing, but it's got 60s vibes. Like so this is more like 70s, but it's still, it's still, again, like I was talking about. So you have like this Frank Lloyd Wright kind of style of what the house looks like. That's kind of what it looks like.
Kind of retro futuristic-ish.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we were just talking about, that show Under the Silver Lake, the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty creepy, but yeah, there's definitely something. There's something there. There's some there.
It'd be interesting to hear like if there was interviews of each one of these people, which obviously there's not. But if you could get an interview for each one of the people that created these spaces as to their reasoning for why to do it. And I would just imagine, because think about this, the more money you have, arguably the more power you have, the more knowledge you have. And so the pattern would seem to be the more knowledge that all these wealthy people have, the more scared they are to live. The more scared they are about the future. And they all just want to survive.
Well, yeah, it's a situation for sure where I think Elon Musk is the first person I heard openly talk about it, about trying to live forever. But there's, obviously he's one of the many of these super rich people that, I'm inclined to believe that you don't get $1 billion unless you've done some terrible, terrible things.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So the kind of people that are that ultra rich, they are looking like, the contrast of like Jesus talking about like they were storing up treasures in heaven. They're doing it here. So they don't want to leave here. So they're doing everything they can to extend their lives, to try to break out, like a breakout society from like God's eternal plan. Where like they're trying to look for like, God says you can either end up here or here. And they're looking for like the third option. We'll take option C, which is we'll put our consciousness into some kind of computer, or we'll do something else. Because isn't that the story basically about the same thing about in Fallout? that the guy from Las Vegas, he turned his consciousness into some kind of AI,
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
and that's how he
Yep.
ended up living. And that's a funny thing. That's like, I want to say that that's exactly what, at least the mythologies are the conspiracy about Walt Disney. Walt Disney supposedly, and this is so funny because this was a conspiracy before I knew about conspiracies, before I cared about conspiracies. This is something I heard when I was a kid, was that that Walt Disney cryogenically froze himself in order to one day be reanimated after, I guess, the technology got better.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
That's the rumor, but the funny part about it is, like, I'm sure if you look this up now, it'd be debunked by Snopes. But again, this is like before like conspiracies were chic. This is like way back in the 80s when I heard about this stuff.
Oh yeah, no, this is when we were kids. That was rumors. So it was
Yeah,
like,
it was just like, oh yeah, Walt Disney did some weird stuff, and you're like, okay, but the Disney Channel's great, right? The Disney movies are great. This is back before we were aware of Disney's occult history,
that goes
and it was
pretty
just
deep.
something that Walt Disney supposedly did, and that's when you kind of wonder about when you have a movie titled Frozen. So if you looked up Disney Frozen, you're not going to get stories about Walt Disney, his head being frozen in some kind of freezer. You're going to get Elsa and Anna.
I was just gonna ask you if you heard about that conspiracy, that is literally what people say the reason that they came out with Frozen was so that it would cover up any searches for Walt Disney himself being frozen.
Well, if you think about the movie, you could have named it a bunch of other things besides Frozen. Yeah, Elsa she's an ice witch and she can freeze stuff. But is that really what you would call the movie? If you were naming it, of all things, would you name it Frozen?
You know, they definitely had some strategy behind it. That wasn't a haphazard decision. Not at
No,
all.
I don't believe they do anything like that. Here, I want to
But
switch gears here. I want to play some videos that I saw about, let's just say, maybe corruption in the church a little bit, or maybe not necessarily corruption, but just some very interesting things with some of these pastors at these churches, kind of bigger mega churches. Aaron, you're going to love this video.
Shout Jesus from the mountain, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy, and Jesus for my family. I speak the holy name of Jesus. Would you say his name? Say his name, say his name. Jesus from the mountain, Jesus in the streets, Jesus in the darkness over every enemy. Come on. Jesus for my family, I speak the holy name, Jesus.
I love the sentiment, but the auto-tune is insane, dude.
I was like, is that Travis Scott?
Dude, that was crazy. I can't believe I can't remember who it was, but who was the guy who like really pioneered that?
Was it T-Pain or somebody like that?
Yeah, T-Pain. I can't believe I don't remember that. T-Pain. I know he didn't create it, but like he championed it and like he made it very universally acceptable. That's crazy, dude. I wonder what the explanation for that is.
Well, isn't it like a situation where auto-tune's been a thing for a long time, but these guys like T-Pain like the way it sounded. They actually like the distortion when I guess you turn it up to 11 or whatever, right? Like, so that a lot of people would use it, but they would keep it real subtle.
Mm-hmm.
So you just think these people can actually sing when they can't sing. But then you have artists who actually can sing pretty well, but they like the way it sounds because for reasons.
Yeah, it's an industry standard in the music industry. Every engineer and every producer sitting behind the controls, they use auto-tune to put the fine touches on stuff. And you know, you've got some artists out there that demand a lot of the real ones, the original, you know, the ones that really appreciate their craft in music and they're good at what they do. they insist on singing and doing as many takes as it takes for them to sing in key, because that's a flex. But at the end of the day, literally every engineer and every producer is still using autotune. So yeah, it's meant to be a subtle thing, but when you crank it up, when you crank up the potency of it, that's exactly what it does. My question is, did the pastor or whoever that is, did he know? And was he like crank it, like do whatever it takes, just make sure I sound decent? Like that's what I want to know.
Situation, you know better than anybody, that because you performed on stage, you know, a lot of these artists, they'll have some kind of they'll be able to hear themselves. So he doesn't look like he probably had anything that was probably in his ear. So yeah, you're saying like that, like a lot of artists would know that that it was really distorted.
Yeah.
And then if he can't listen to himself, he's really not hearing what everyone else is hearing.
Yeah, no, so your in-ear monitors, I mean, it's probably a lot more affordable now, but it's not a super easy setup, because you've got to have IEMs, in-ear monitors. You've got to have those set up to typically like a cordless setup, which runs to a unit that's plugged in, where they can give you each your own individual mix. And the singers almost always, it depends on who you are, but the singers have a very interesting mix, but usually the mix it's got most of the music cut out and they can hear themselves clearly, so that they're singing on key. So yeah, it's interesting that he couldn't hear himself singing. I don't know. It's just, it's very, it's very interesting.
It's just so funny. I mean, I guess it's just like mega churches. They want, I don't know. I guess it's like a show. I mean, it is what it's a show. Like, I mean, the thing is, if you're praising the Lord, like God doesn't really care if you can't sing well. And I would never mock somebody for trying to sing. You know, you might say you might not be the person to lead the worship, but I mean, but who am I to say? Again, if you're making a joyful noise unto the Lord, then that's good in itself. But it doesn't need to be polished and perfect. It's like, because it comes from here, not from here.
I agree if people are singing in the congregation, but if I was tasked with putting together a worship team, I would want to give our Heavenly Father the best that we have to offer, so that's just my stance, right? Like, I would just want to put, like, I'm not going to pick, you might have, and that's the challenge, right? With a lot of these churches, you've got someone that has a beautiful heart and they just want to serve Jesus, and they want to get up there and sing a new song to him, but they literally can't sing. And then you've got someone that can sing like a freaking bird, but they're arrogant. It's like, you can't put that person up, because like their heart's not right. And so, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a battle between, it's a challenge to find people that are humble, that are also able to carry a tune on stage. But that reminds me of like back in the day when people used to go see like Blink-182 live.
They can't sing.
I'm just picking them as one example, not even remotely like they do on their album. And so they actually used autotune live. And
they did. Oh, interesting.
They did. A lot of bands do. They've got rack mount units that have autotune built into them, and when they sing. But the thing is, when you're out of breath, dude, you're running around on stage, swinging your guitar around, doing backflips and barrel rolls and whatever else you're doing on stage, and you're out of breath. Sometimes, and sometimes the mix shifts and it changes, and you can't hear yourself as clearly as other times. And so, like, sometimes, dude, these people they're not just like marginally off in their singing. They're not just like a half note or a quarter note off. Like, they're like multiple notes off. And so the autocorrect doesn't know what to do when it gets like that. So it just jumbles and gets all over the place. So yeah, it's very common for performers to, but then you've got bands like One Republic, where Ryan Tedder, the lead singer, he's like literally trained his voice to be able to hit those keys. I mean, that dude's voice is just phenomenal. He doesn't need autotune. That dude will do whatever it takes to make sure he's hitting every single one of those notes. So anyways, I digress.
No, anyway, so I got another video of a pastor kind of, let's just say, not coming off quite godly or authentic. This is different, but it's same. Check this out.
What is that?
The water that you asked for.
Yeah, a large glass of water for my live stream. This is like a kid size, free sample size.
I'm sorry.
I'm an adult. Bring out an adult size, okay? You're messing the whole video up. There are a lot of people watching. Okay, just delete that part.
Can't, we're live.
You can't back up like 30 seconds.
No, live streaming.
Okay, well, that's an example of how certain people can be a stumbling block to other people and cause them to sin. Like she caused me to sin and become angry because she didn't get the water right. So that's something you want to avoid, being a stumbling block to others. So that was a good example. But you know what? Let's just, now I'm off. Let's just restart. People are going to restart. If you want to join the next live stream, please join. We're going to start over.
Please tell me that's not real.
I was wondering if it was a skit. If it was real, it was pretty funny that guy got caught. But it was
like,
it was probably a skit. I didn't look it up, but let's just say you could believe it, though, right?
Well, 100%. That's why I'm asking, because it felt real. It seemed real. The one thing that made it seem real was, did you notice how as soon as he realized it was live, he literally adjusted his body. He goes, and then he physically reacted to what the guy said, and then he got into character, and then he said what he said. But like, what he said is like one of the number one problems with the church at large, or pastors, or anyone in any kind of position of authority. And that's like lack of responsibility, lack of accepting ownership and responsibility for their own stupid actions and their own mistakes and their own sin and their own. There's no way to spend that. That dude was a jerk to a hardworking girl who's just trying to make a paycheck. There's no other explanation.
Yeah, we're gonna hope it's fake, but if that was real, that was like the totally like Pharisee spirit.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Well,
yeah.
like you want to present yourself as this, but then when people are not watching, you treat people that you deem as lesser than you like crap. And then you want to present Christ to people, but you don't have Christ in here because your fruit is doing that.
Yeah,
because it really is. I mean, I really do think that as simple as the gospel can be, is it's really just how you treat other people, and especially people that are in lower stature, as the world sees us.
Entertaining
if you have
angels.
lots of money and you treat poor people like crap, you treat all kinds of people that are less fortunate than you worse, you have the sin of partiality. Well, that's the fruit. I mean, that's actually what's really coming from here. So regardless of how you look or how you sound when everything's polished, and I think that's the kind of thing that, whether that's real or it's fake or it's a skit, is that kind of like the pastor on stage who wants to sound like the songbird of a generation versus but that's not who you actually are. It's okay to be authentic. Well, I mean, you're supposed to be authentic. I mean, I think that's the difference between probably why a lot of people on social media become even bigger than, these people wearing super expensive suits and having a mega church, is because people crave authenticity. So that's like one of the worst things you can be. It's like, that's what Jesus was calling them all the time. You guys are hypocrites. I remember back in the day that a lot of people that I knew talked about why they didn't go to church is because it's full of hypocrites. And I guess I really didn't understand what it meant back then, because I guess I was too naive. It's like you're presenting yourself as this, but then as soon as Sunday morning service is over and you go outside the church, everybody goes out to lunch afterwards, and then you treat the waitress like crap. It's like, so you didn't get anything out of the service. And it's like literally just checking the box for the week. This is who I am. And it's like, even kind of reminds me of like the Kenneth Copelands and Jesse Duplantis and some of these people talking about their private jets and how they need this, and how I think Kenneth Copeland once told this story about how he was kind of under Oral Roberts, who started Oral Roberts University. And he was saying that how nobody could talk to Oral Roberts when he was on the plane. And he was talking about people would be bothering them and they'd be coming up and touching them, asking to pray for them. And it was like, who are you? And then so Kenneth Copeland famously said he couldn't be on a tube full of demons. He needed to fly private. And you're like, of course, he seems really, really demonic. A lot. So like, do you even hear what you're saying? Do you have any kind of perception of how other people are going to receive what you just said. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that even we know on social media where they have it's like they claim to have all these gifts of the Spirit, but they cannot perceive how other people are seeing them. And it's not like you don't have to please everybody, but at the same time, be able to read the room. If you can't read the room, I mean, do you really have any kind of God's Spirit or God's discernment in you?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. These people are 40 layers deep, though, in the not give a crap tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they stopped giving a crap a long time ago. And so they're like 40 side rabbit tunnels down the trail of not giving a crap. And so, no, they don't see it. And they're blinded. But I mean, Jesus was very clear, whatever you do unto the least of these, you do unto me.
Yep.
And
100%.
it's not very hard to grasp that concept. I mean, my stance is, and I'm being very serious, my stance is pick one. Either be a jerk all of the time or be a follower of Jesus and show the love of Jesus all the time. Don't go back and forth. And I understand there's a struggle when you're maybe trying to stop be a jerk and trying to, there's a deliverance that takes place when the Holy Spirit indwells you and starts to change you, because that's exactly how it can happen. And that's how it does happen in most people, because we're not capable of changing that on our own in most cases. But it's like, if you're gonna live like that, dude, I heard a teaching one time that was like, if you're gonna live with one foot in the world, just go all out and live in the world. You and I have talked about that too. It's like these people that sold their soul for peanuts.
They gave it away. They didn't even
gave
get
it
anything
away.
in return.
Yeah, they gave it away, dude. They got it at a freaking garage sale for 50 cents. And then you got the people that everyone wants to criticize for selling their soul for these multi-million-dollar deals. Well, at least they made it. If they chose to live for the world, they made a good business decision. If that's their decision, if their decision was to live wholeheartedly for the world, they made a wise worldly decision, because they're the ones that they're living on top. They're living large. They're doing, and we know they're all deceived. And I'm not saying anyone should ever live that way. I'm just saying, like, pick a side.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jesus says to those churches in Revelation. He says that I'd rather you be hot or cold, because if you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. And I know that there's certain people think that, like, if you're lukewarm, you're okay. But I was like, I don't think that that's what Jesus is saying at all. But that's what we're talking about, is that, yes, Jesus talks about you can have your reward here or you can have it in heaven. He's obviously saying it's way better to have it in heaven, because here, your treasure here is moth and rust can get to it, but you talk about an eternal treasure that's laid up in heaven. So yeah, the people who sell their souls here, at least they're getting their reward here. And there's so many people that are not even getting the reward here. So you're giving away your eternal reward in favor of what? Nothing. Clout or something like that. Maybe like 15 minutes of fame on social media. That's ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to play one more video. I think I have a funny one for you, Aaron. And then I know you said you had some videos, so I want to see what you got.
Te miré de pronto y te empecé a querer, sin imaginarme que podía.
The struggle's
That's
real.
hilarious. The struggle is real.
Sometimes you think you still got it. I can still do a lot of things, but sometimes I guess you do forget, like when you don't do things for quite a while, you try to do it again, you're like, when did it leave?
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy in his 40s, yeah, he totally, in his mind, he jumped right over that fence, but he actually died.
Killed him. The move that killed him. Staying on funny videos before we move on to something else.
Every now and then I think about how in that Backstreet Boys song, Everybody, how there's a bit where one of them just asks his mates, am I sexual? And they all go, yeah. And I'm starting to wonder, would my mates do the same for me? Hey, Neil.
He reacted to
Neil.
Am I sexual?
Are you sexual?
Am I sexual?
I believe you are.
Hey. Am I sexual? What? Am I sexual?
Sexual?
Am I sexual?
I don't think you give off flirty vibes.
Hey, am I sexual?
What do you mean?
No.
No.
Am I sexual?
Are you sexual?
Hey, am I sexual?
What?
Hey, am I sexual?
What?
Yeah, the natural reaction would be, what'd you just say? What? What do you mean?
Yeah, but the Backstreet Boys, man, without skipping a beat, as soon as they said, "Am I sexual?" they said, "Yeah."
They should have said, gay.
It's so crazy. It's like you don't think about it. Like I never really thought about it because I didn't put that much thought into it. But it's like he proved, and I love the effort he put into it because he didn't break character when he asked them. He asked them so like calm and like the same way he would probably ask them, "Hey, am I mean, just imagine you, me, and Brian driving in a car to like a conference or something. And I'm in the back seat and I'm just like, "Hey guys, got a serious question for you. Yeah, what's up? Am I sexual?" You guys would you'd be so confused.
It would be totally like the proper reaction is the very famous viral internet video from the guy from Africa, the guy who interviews the person who's saying that they're gay, or he's saying that they're gay.
Yeah.
He's just gonna like look up, just a look. That's all you really need is like, what'd you just say?
It's so weird, dude. It's so weird. It's so weird. Anyways,
what
that all
line would
being
go
said-
good here?
Right?
Am I sexual? Yeah.
So weird, man. Okay, let's transition over to something that is up and coming and is yet to happen even once this episode airs, so we can all hypothesize and speculate.
The Brazilian psychic who has predicted an alien invasion at this year's World Cup, yeah, at the upcoming World Cup, is doubling down on it. Yeah, she keeps saying over and over again, it's gonna happen. So this Brazilian psychic, who I've talked about before and is very well known around the world, has predicted an upcoming alien invasion during the World Cup. At first, she just posted on social media, but now she's on TV all over Brazil saying she believes this is going to happen. Like I said, she's doubling down on an alien invasion at the upcoming World Cup. Now, she's been right about stuff before, and she's very respected. But predicting an extraterrestrial alien invasion within a small time frame like the World Cup is really going out there. She's putting her whole reputation on the line. And now that prediction, her prediction, is being talked about all over the world, not just on social media or TV in Brazil, but all over the world. So, the thing I find really intriguing about this, other than the fact that there could be an extraterrestrial alien invasion, is that she's putting everything on the line here. She's not saying it might happen, she's saying it will happen, and she keeps doubling down on it, like I said before. Now other people, other psychics, have predicted huge events, some like this. One guy, a UFO researcher, for years said extraterrestrials would let themselves be known to the people of the Earth in April. Then when it didn't happen, he pushed it back to November. And that's what most of them do. If their prediction doesn't come true, they either change the date or change their mind. But that ain't the case with her. She's got her story, and she's sticking to it. Only time will tell. And since I'm not going to the World Cup, I'll have to find out about 30 seconds after it happens. Just like the rest of us. Okay, I just wanted to keep you updated on this.
So she's putting her reputation on the line, which is, pretty big deal because I'm sure she's highly respected and she would never say anything that's crazy or she could be proven wrong in any way.
Pretty nuts, right? So she's not just saying that there's going to be an invasion during the World Cup. She's saying there's going to be an invasion and they're going to abduct like 700 people.
Huh. That's the more kind of creepy, alarming thing because if 700 people go missing, I'm not going to think ET did it. I'm going to think
Exactly.
some very nefarious people did it.
Exactly.
Well,
So,
so
but
as we're filming this today, this is June 11th. So June 11th, and this is the day. I think this starts today. It starts, the World Cup coverage starts today, June 11th through July 19th. So before we get off the air, I guess it's possible that spaceships could come.
pretty crazy, huh? But I guess the final, she's saying it's going to happen during like the final games or whenever, which is like the 24th or something like that, wherever the final games are in Florida.
Okay, so we got to wait then.
Yeah. So there's time for everyone to see this and hear about this and speculate on it. And
Well, it is interesting that, of course, I have no idea about any kind of Brazilian news agencies. I don't know what the clip he was showing, what show she was appearing on. I don't know if this is like their version of CNN or Fox or whatever, fake news, regardless of where it's at. But it does seem like that obviously this is something that has been mainstreamed, where we played a clip a couple weeks ago about Jesse Waters from Fox News talking about the 4 different types of aliens. The alien stuff is, we're being inundated with alien, UAP, UFO phenomenon on the news all the time. And as before we got on the air, today or tomorrow, I guess officially tomorrow is when Disclosure Day comes out, the Steven Spielberg new movie about aliens and all this stuff. And the way that he's kind of presented it, he's saying it's not what if people find out that we're not alone. It's like when. It's like this, basically saying like this is happening. So it's coming out right when the World Cup starts.
pretty ironic timing. And you and I were talking about
Or
this
maybe
before.
there's no irony at all, and this is all coordinated. This is all meant to be the mass push for all this stuff to be out there at the same time. For maybe something that's Project Bluebeam. It's something that's been talked about and planned for like a long, long time.
Yeah, I don't know what's about to happen, but you and I were talking about this before we started recording today. I truly believe that Disclosure Day is Disclosure Day, meaning there's never going to be, because I don't know how people think it's going to all pan out, but like there's not going to be, like the world is not going to stop and there's going to be like one teleconference that's done from one news station or one government organization where they say, okay, we're disclosing everything to you guys. This is what's going on. This is what's been happening. It's not going to go down like that. It's got to go down in a different way. And what better way than to put a movie out literally called Disclosure Day? They could have called it anything else. They could have come up with any kind of scientific explanation. They could have made up a word. They could have, you know what I mean? Like, look at all of the different titles they've used over the years, all the different titles he's used over the years. But to call it Disclosure Day, I truly believe it's because this movie is the disclosure, and the day it comes out is the day of disclosure.
Well,
that's
the thing that I wonder as you say that would be that it's kind of like the reptilian phenomenon. It's kind of like a lot of these evasions of the body snatchers. It's like they live. It's like they're already here, right? Whatever these beings are already here, and they're amongst us, and they're walking amongst us. And so, is it a situation where this movie is going to give some Easter egg? It's going to give some clue to say, "Hey, wait a minute. What about that person right there? What if they're really not who they say that they are?" Because that's the only thing that would actually make sense. Because that's the thing. Like people are expecting, like the people who have been conditioned, pre-programmed for what we think an alien invasion might look like, is we're expecting these saucer-shaped ships to come down, giant ships like Independence Day coming down over these giant cities and just revealing themselves one day. But what this might be is that, no, they're already here. They've been amongst us for a long time, and they've been pretending to be one of us. And so you go to the grocery store, the person checking out at the counter is like, is that actually a person? Or is that actually some kind of humanoid that's not really human?
Fantastic question, but I do have a perfect transition to that, which may or may not be an answer. And I just want
Okay.
to preface before I play this. This original video that I'm about to show you guys was something that was circulating. Evidently, I never saw it, but it was circulating long before people had access to all of the AI tools that are available right now.
Amongst us on the north side, on Great Mum.
I know what he told me.
Yeah, it could be a really distorted video, but that is weird. It kind of reminds me of Men in Black.
Exactly.
Like some of those weird looking aliens that they show in that. I remember a long time ago, I made a video about this, like my early TikTok days. I was talking about how basically I was kind of comparing it to like that I watch movies now to find truth because the news is fake, right? So we watch movies and TV and read comic books and we're like, okay, there's more truth in here than there is on the nightly news. And so in the movie Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones is taking Will Smith, who's just like his protege, and he's kind of showing him the ropes. And what he did was he went over to the tabloids and he was saying like, this is actually real. This is the real news, the tabloids, where they have like, like Vampire Boy or like Elvis is back and he's came back with the aliens, or, the princess of so-and-so gave birth to some kind of octopus or something. And like, that's the real news. Like that is actually the real news. And then what we think is the news is all just nonsense.
Yeah. No, there's actually, there's a bunch of different shows and different things that have alluded to that. The animated series Invincible, there's a part where Omni-Man, who is like the dad and the Earth superhero, he kind of turns on Earth, so to speak. But long story short, there's a bunch of comic books with him. And in these comic books, he's going to different planets and he's fighting these different species and all these crazy things happen. Well, his son is half him, half like his genetics, and also half human. And he comes of age and he's got all of these superpowers as well. And instead of like sitting down and having a conversation with his son and telling him where he comes from and all about his past and what he's capable of, he tells him to read all of his comics. He goes, read the comics. He's like, the truth is, it's all in the comics. Everything in the comics is right.
Is Omni-Man, is he kind of like Superman where he's like he's a Kryptonian or something like that?
Yeah, I believe they're called Viltrumites. It's very similar to that, but he's like his strength and powers like levels above what Superman can do. I don't know that he doesn't have like laser sight or anything like that, but he's like insanely powerful, insanely fast, like indestructible practically, but not completely. But yeah, very similar.
But yeah, so the point is that the stuff that we are told is fiction has some of the real story in it. And so again, I don't necessarily say that that's a true thing, but I think that it's, again, like I can always compare it to these. I compare it to the mythologies where you have this mythology about Hercules or Apollo or Zeus or something, but those aren't facts. So don't get it twisted. Those are not facts, but these stories came from a true place. And I think that's why, like, I do believe that they do reveal truth through the fiction because they're basically the same thing. It's just like it's mythologies because the way these stories are told, they're told over and over again. And the characters and the places and the times, they might change, but like the story kind of remains the same, where that's why if you watch the movie The Eternals we brought up before, is the story of the Watchers. Now, obviously, is it exactly like the story of the Watchers? No, of course, it's got a modern spin on this story and it's obviously fictionalized, but nobody really knows exactly the whole story anyway. So there's licenses that there's things that you can do, including like having an angel character who's deaf, or one who's really overweight. I think you have a very diverse cast of angels in this one, which would
They
probably
don't
not
discriminate.
be, kind of like Christopher Nolan did it. Oh, I got a video to follow up with that stuff when we talk about aliens. It's the opinion of the JT Follows JC podcast in the podcast universe. I think we're all pretty much in universal conclusion that these are demons, most likely. We do kind of leave room for alternate theories about things that come from inside the earth, maybe humanoid-like creatures, could be government experiments and stuff like that. But overall, I'm pretty much with Brian about it's demons, bro. In general, again, but I'm leaving room for things that I don't know. Like, we don't know what we don't know. But these things certainly don't come from other planets. Because
Yeah, we know that for sure.
We don't believe that crap. We don't believe in outer space on this podcast, except for maybe Brian, but we're working on him. But this was really interesting because what you would need for this disclosure thing to really resonate, you would have to have big churches on board. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago about how supposedly these government agencies were getting church pastors and they were kind of talking about some kind of alien phenomenon that's real, that's here, and it's now. But there's another church, of course, that none of us are members of, but it's the Catholic Church. And this was really interesting. I sent you guys an article about this, and I saw somebody made a video about this. Check this out.
Archdiocese of Washington just removed a prominent priest and a top exorcist after he publicly suggested UFOs could actually be demons. Monsignor Stephen Rossetti, he's a priest, a psychologist, and a longtime exorcist for the Archdiocese of Washington, posted a video claiming that many, if not most, UFO sightings may be demonic activity meant to deceive or manipulate people. As a result, Cardinal Robert McElroy removed Rossetti from his role as an exorcist and cut official ties with his nonprofit, the St. Michael Center. Rossetti has apologized. He says he remains committed to the church's teachings. The controversy is drawing major attention online, as you can imagine, because Rossetti isn't just a priest. In fact, he's also a licensed psychologist, and he has quite the social media following. In fact, he has 148,000 Instagram followers, and he spent almost 2 decades performing exorcisms for the church. Definitely one of the stranger headlines we've seen this morning. I'm Simone D'Alba. I'm a journalist for WUSA 9 in Washington, D.C. Drop me a comment. Tell me what you think about all this.
So he got fired for looking out for the flock.
He got fired for saying stuff that you would not think that would be controversial, what he said.
Unless there's an overarching plan and agenda that goes against what he said that's yet to be unveiled.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. To me, it's crazy that would be labeled as controversial whatsoever. Because again, that's exactly what I just said. I said, I think that most, if not all, maybe he didn't even go that far. He said most of them are likely demonic deception and manipulation. As a church person, that's fit with everything the churches believe pretty much forever.
Yeah.
Things that were unexplainable were spiritual phenomenons. They were not scientific or science fiction phenomenon. It's not little green aliens from Nibiru, Uranus, or Mars, or whatever you want to say. That they're here, but yeah, they're on a different wavelength. They appear. Even like I said, I had Shetlehem on the podcast, and he was talking about how like a lot of the encounters that we believe that are physical might almost be an astral simulation or something like that. The truth is, we don't really know, because of course we weren't there. And that's the thing, is like typically you don't have a lot of corroboration for these stories. They're usually these one-offs where somebody experienced a thing that they know is real, but then they really have no proof that it's real. They might be marked up. They might have some kind of scars from the encounter, but they really don't have anything other than, I know it, trust me, bro, like this absolutely happened.
Yeah.
So a guy who was an exorcist, and interestingly enough, that he was also a psychologist, kind of has the same background as Jerry Marzinski. Well, Jerry Marzinski has a famous background in like psychiatry, psychology. I'm not sure which. I'm not exactly sure the difference. But he was a person who found out this was a demonic phenomenon outside the church, but just through talking with schizophrenics and people like that. So
Wasn't
this
it-
guy would seem like if this guy's an exorcist and he's a psychologist, this guy would probably know better than that crazy woman who's a psychic from Rio de Janeiro or whatever.
Wasn't it Crowley that allegedly said what we call demons one day we'll call aliens?
But yeah, I bring up that quote all the time. All the time.
So it's like, you know, someone who is a pioneer for what most of these elite, whatever we're calling them, the ones pulling the strings, someone that paved the way for them, their own person's quote supports exactly what that priest said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's such a strange time to be alive, man.
Yeah, I found that article. Let's read a little bit of it because she didn't go too far in depth. We'll just read a little bit of it, see if there's anything else. So yeah, famous story says Catholic priest removed as exorcist over UFO comments. A Catholic priest has been removed from his role as exorcist after making remarks linking UFOs to demons. Okay, so she already got into that. It said I guess the guy who removed him was Cardinal Robert McElroy. McElroy took action on June 3rd and said comments gravely undermine official Catholic teaching on demons and exorcism, prompting the Archdiocese to cut ties with the center that is headed by Rossetti. Rossetti later said he is saddened by the decision and apologized, pledging to remain obedient to church doctrine. It says Rossetti, who has over 148,000 followers on Instagram, a prominent psychologist as well as exorcist. His St. Michael Center for Spiritual Renewal, a nonprofit, is based in Washington, D.C., has specialized in offering spiritual healing for priests troubled by various difficulties. And it says in a May 29 video that was posted on Facebook, Rossetti talked about UFO sightings as well as potential existence of alien life. There's a danger here, he said. As an exorcist, I want to raise that danger that it is demons that like to hide. They don't want us to know what they're doing because they're more effective when we don't realize it. They can kind of get into your head, manipulate things in the world to influence us to do evil. It's my personal belief that probably many, if not most, of the UFO sightings are in fact demons, he added. In a statement posted on St. Michael Center website, Rossetti said, I ask for forgiveness in any ways I have not been faithful to the teachings of the church magisterium, particularly its cited video of aliens and demonic. I believe it is of the utmost importance to be obedient to the church, and I will continue the endeavor of subject to all that I do in the center and thus be obedient.
Okay.
So again, like what is the greater doctrine that he went against of the Catholic Church? I know we've talked about this a long time ago. One of the very first podcasts we did with me and Brian when we were back under the Decoding Babylon podcast. There was teachings from the Catholic Church. And again, a lot of this stuff I think I was getting secondhand, so I can't confirm this. So I don't know exactly what they believe, but they did talk about the idea that there was questions if these aliens, when they appeared, would need to be baptized or not. And then I think one of the priests, if not, I don't think it was the Pope, he was saying that they might need to baptize us because they're not part of original sin. It was some weird stuff that obviously does not corroborate Scripture. It's completely contrary to that. I mean, we know that Christ died for us. He didn't die for any other beings, including the angels. So, no, we don't need to be baptized by aliens.
But the concerted effort to protect them and to preserve their image and make us look at them as gods, like all of the energy and all of the time and effort that's been put in to make us see them as something other than what they are, tells you just how powerful they are and the powers of darkness are, because obviously these agendas are being pushed because the men and women, the people in general that are in charge of all of making all these decisions, They're obviously terrified of them because they're doing their bidding. And they've been doing their bidding all this time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, of course, famously too, the Catholic Church has this, well, they're connected with all kinds of space research and NASA type programs. Famously, they have or they're connected with it. They claim they don't own it, but there's this famous mountain in Arizona called Mount Graham that the Native Americans said had some kind of a spiritual significance to it. And that's where they have this giant telescope there that's called Lucifer there. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys look that up.
No, it's real.
That's what it's called. I think they say it's like what is it, like the acronym for it is Lucifer, which you have to get a lot of you have to get a lot of words to get the word Lucifer.
Dude, yeah.
It's
They
pretty
didn't get there
specific.
they didn't arrive there accidentally, that's for sure.
So yeah, again, it doesn't seem controversial at all because he's not even saying that all of them. Like he wouldn't go as far as to say, I would say most, if not all, are demons. But I'm still leaving room for a little bit. Now, he left room for more because he said many, if not most, are demonic and deceptive. And what he said was absolutely true. It's like they would want you to think there's something different because as soon as you find out something's a demon you're communicating with, then you would know as a Christian, as a person I'm sure goes to the Catholic Church, you would know if this is a demon you're talking to. Well, you'd have no reason to trust them or believe them, and you'd want nothing to do with them. But if you leave room the idea that, oh, some of these things are not evil, they're not nefarious. I want to say even like Tim Alberino kind of talked about the idea that some of these beings are not necessarily demonic or evil. You know, he's saying many of them are, but like, so which ones are not? And how would you know the difference? Especially if demons lie. Well, of course they'd want you to think that they're, oh, we're the good ones. I mean, that's always like the kind of real danger with this is that if these beings are outside of the biblical text, well, if they told you, we're not in your Bible, but you know what? We're your friends. We got nothing against you. We got nothing against Jesus. We got nothing against any of the stuff you guys believe. We're actually your friends. And guess what? There's also these bad ones, and they're not really demons, but they're bad, and you need our help.
Scripture is very clear. You're either for me or against me. And so you would have to ask these entities, are you for him or against him? And I think it's obvious, right? Like they're either a part of his heavenly angels, his heavenly army, or they're not. There is no in between. And anyone saying otherwise is obviously, you know what I'm saying? They're obviously confused.
Yeah, I don't see any room for beings that are on the level of intellect and ability as us or above that are not either angels or fallen angels.
Yeah, there might be some that are less harmful than others, but they're still serving a purpose for darkness, right? They might be like observers that just pass information along, but they're not doing anything. They're kind of passive, but they're still playing a role in the overarching like war, the overarching, because that's what it is. It's a war. It's a war. It's a battle that's been being waged this whole time, and it's against us. And so that's the only thing I could think of is that they're just different levels of like how evil they are or what exactly they do and what their role is. But this priest saying this and this thing being exposed, to me, it kind of gives me hope for. It's so easy for people to say it's all of them. All of them are under their control. All of them are against us. But like there are still outliers. You know what I mean? Like there are still outliers out there that may have found themselves in positions of power and they don't want to be corrupt anymore. They don't want to play the game anymore. And they're going to switch up. And it could be extremely possible that this guy is one of those people that decided to switch up. And he's like, I can't live with this. I can't live with this on my conscience. I've got to say something.
Yeah, we don't know this guy. We don't know his fruit. But yeah, I think people need to be, I guess, give a little more grace for people who grew up in different kind of backgrounds and churches.
For sure.
Because you do kind of wonder if you grew up in a Catholic home, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience probably have, and then they're not Catholics anymore. But what if you were trying your best to serve God in the way that you were taught to do it by an official church? And of course, they talk about how their church doctrine is correct and everybody else is wrong. That's what everyone believes in this audience too, is they believe that whatever their view is correct and then everybody else is wrong. The same thing with the Orthodox Church. So who's right? Well, I think ultimately who's right is who's right with God, is who's right in their heart. So they might have certain things wrong. We might disagree about things strongly in this audience, but like if this guy is, from what he just said, where's the lie? From where I could see, like, I don't think he said anything wrong. So maybe he does have the best of intentions, but the real problem is that, that he needs to remove himself from that authority that is rebuking him for something that he told the truth about.
And this is why we also need to be continually praying for those in leadership and praying for those people in power and in different places, because we got to remember that our Heavenly Father is sovereign. And if at any moment he decides to tap someone on the shoulder and wake them up and get them to speak out for the masses in order to alert us or tip us off or whatever the case is, and I'm not saying that's what this was, but it makes me think that. It makes me look at the situation and go, there are, I don't know, I always say it's like to say everyone in power and everyone with authority is bad and evil is like the equivalent of saying that like every Christian is good. It's like you can't say that statement about either one. Like it's like it's not all of them. It's not 100% of them, just like it's not 100% of the people claiming to be Christians that are righteous, because in my experience, that's absolutely not the case. And so anyone can be tapped on the shoulder. Anyone can stand out. Anyone can be a soldier for righteousness. We don't know how that's going to play out. And there has to be some good and righteous people in some of those higher up positions. And maybe they're not today, but they might be tomorrow. Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's easy, especially the way we talk and we talk on podcasts. It's easy to paint with a broad brush.
For sure.
But I mean, it's kind of like we're all big boys and girls in this audience. Like when we make a blanket statement, we shouldn't have to say every time, not all. Not all, even though sometimes it does seem like it is.
The vast majority.
The vast majority. I mean, stereotypes exist for a reason. It's not because there's not outliers. It's because the majority of the things they do fit into. And so I got a video here. I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to go, well, no, a lot bit. We talked about before about how we're talking about how cursive was removed from schools. And I want to show you some of the fruit of that, Aaron. Check this out.
Read this word.
Zelma. I learned cursive in 3rd grade.
Read this word. Hey, the word up on there. You gotta go to another car. Read this word.
This cursive? I can't read cursive.
It's a Z or a Q. You tell me.
What that say? Yeah, yellow.
Read this word.
Your spelling sucks.
Read this word. Corella. Corella. That's a J. J. I don't know cursive. Read this word.
Cursive. What the?
Read this word. Crema.
Sprelmo.
It said crema. Jarella. Next word. That was just a hard one. Read this word.
Yelra. It's in like Spanish. What the f is this?
Read this word.
Mama.
What in the world is it? It's like a loop.
Cursive.
It's cursive.
Read this word.
Is that even a word?
Read this word.
What is the first letter?
Read this word.
Zalera. Selena.
Helpra.
Read this word.
Cursive, that's what this is? But what is it saying?
I'm asking you.
I do not know.
Read this word.
Pellegra.
What's the first letter?
Y or G?
It's a Z. What has stripes?
Zebra.
Finally, someone got it.
I was going to say, Aaron, be honest. Did you know what word that was?
Did. Yeah, dude. Cursive was, I really enjoyed learning and writing in cursive. In fact, I'm willing to bet that I could probably pick up a pen and paper and write everything in cursive. It might not be perfect, but yeah, I actually,
I can still do it.
I really enjoyed learning it. My like audio visual processing is like in the 90th percentile. So like I get hyper fixated on that stuff and I can remember that stuff incredibly well. But unfortunately my processing speed is like in the 10th percentile. That's why sometimes you'll see me like looking around and waiting a few minutes to say something because I take it all in, dude. I take in everything.
It says
and then
loading.
It takes,
You got like the
yeah,
little
dude.
kind of circle
Yep.
wheel over your head.
And then it takes me a little bit to like think about how I want to word it and phrase it and say it or what I want to focus on first. But yeah, absolutely, I could.
Your natural reaction, you want to clown on these people like they're morons for not being able to read that word. But the truth is, I guess if you weren't taught cursive, would you know what a Z looked like in cursive?
Yeah,
I mean, the
sure.
Z is kind of one of the weirdest letters in cursive. Like, it really doesn't make a lot of sense that it has that big loop on it.
Yeah, no, I could see someone thinking it's a Q or something different, like for sure.
But some of those people, well, I guess in the B's do look like, as if you don't see, you make that loop and then you make that little kind of thing
It's like
at
an
the
L
end.
first.
It does look like an L if you don't catch the second part of it. But I guess the truth is you can't really tell what the second part is because it goes into almost the next letter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're
Yeah.
making people stupid. I mean, the thing is, they're not teaching people like things that are useful. I mean, it's kind of like to them, it is like a foreign language, but it's English. It's like it's the language we actually speak. And the truth is, yeah, like if you ever pulled out like an old document, like these old manuscripts, if it's written in cursive, like these people would not be able to read it.
Yeah, but it's true. Like you don't know what you don't know. And so they obviously are intentionally not teaching them these things. And there was obviously an intended purpose behind not teaching them these things. It'd be really easy to just say, oh, well, there's no use for it. Like we don't really have a use for it. But it's like, no, there was a concerted effort to make sure that there's not a use for it. We didn't just haphazardly end up in a place where we don't need cursive anymore.
Well, the truth is, it's like, I don't write in cursive very much, or if ever, other than like signing your name.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't use it, but it's not like I regret learning it because now I know how to read it.
Yeah.
Again, so it's like, it's not necessarily something you might do every day, but it's important to be able to read it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that this new generation of kids they would be considered retarded by standards of like the 80s and the 90s, as far as like what they actually, like what kind of academic level that they're at. Here's an example. So my oldest daughter, she graduated yesterday. So I went to her high school graduation, and she goes to one of the better public schools around where we live. It was really not my want for her to send her to public school, but that's where she went. But she went to one of the better ones. And so there was 474 kids in her graduating class. So it's a pretty big school. It was crazy because, you get the sash when you graduate with honors. So my daughter got pretty good grades. She got one of those sashes. But what the principal ended up saying, that there was 147 kids that had a 4.0 or better in that graduating class. And then, of course, it's like when you look at the kids who did not graduate with honors, there was, to me, I could be wrong about this, it looked like to me there was less kids that graduated with honors than there were kids who graduated with above a 4.0. And of course, I just can't help but think, like, there ain't that many smart kids at that school. It must be that whatever they're teaching them ain't the same as what we had to learn. Because a 4.0, I had to tell the kids afterwards, I said, back in my day, a 4.0 just meant you got straight A's. There was no better than a 4.0. There was really there might have been a couple of kids in the whole school that got a 4.0. If you went through all the way through your academic career and you got all A's, that was like a spotted owl. That was super rare. And now the valedictorian had a 4.78. I'm like, what does this scale go up to 11 now? Like, where are we even getting these numbers from? I guess because they take all these AP classes that I guess are technically like college level classes. But like, I don't even know what it means anymore. This does feel like that this is the next step on the participation trophy type thing, where it's like, well, everybody gets honors now. Everybody gets a 4.0. But then you find out they couldn't even tell you that word was zebra. Like, how many of those kids that got a 4.0 could tell you what that word said, that everyone just made a fool of themselves trying to just read cursive?
Well, the problem is with the curriculum, right? Like they want these younger generations dumb, and so they've changed the curriculum completely, and they've been changing it like ever since we graduated. They've dumbed it down and dumbed it down and dumbed it down, and so it's like, are these younger generations actually dumb? I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's just they've been programmed to be this way. They've been programmed to not know these things. It's just the way that they've intended it, and yeah, it is really sad to see. It is really frustrating to see.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of like ignorance does not mean stupid. We're all ignorant of things that we don't know. So these kids are being taught to be ignorant about things that were common knowledge to us. So I think that from my perspective, and I think most people who are watching this podcast, how we view people who are intelligent is critical thinking. Because you could teach anybody to memorize anything, and it has nothing to do with you being intelligent or not. Your ability to retain information and then regurgitate it on a test or an essay, that's really not a sign of intelligence. That is a sign of some kind of ability. So really, by the time you get a diploma or a degree, it's really just like that you can follow the basic steps to get something done. You can achieve certain things when given tasks. So that's important to be able to show that you can do that. But that really has nothing to do with whether a person's smart or not, or what we'd consider smart. I mean, because I don't consider myself like a genius or smart or anything. I'm like an everyman. But occasionally we'll have people on the show, and their ability to remember stuff and be able to say it in a smooth. I was thinking about like a Michael Heiser, where this guy you could tell was highly intelligent, but when he talked, he could explain things for everyone to understand. Now, to me, that's like that. To me, that's a very that's a real high sign of like intelligence. Is it he can take information that's complex and he can put it down to he can spoon feed people like me. And like, I know exactly what he's saying. Yeah. And then you have people who are like on like the high level of almost like autistic intellect, where they are clearly like specialized in certain things, but they cannot explain it to anybody. And so like that's less impressive, right? You could be totally just have this one specialized field where you know so much about it, but then they don't know how to interact normally in a social situation.
Yeah.
I don't look at that person as being gifted in like in a more well-rounded way. And I think that's what we really want. We want well-rounded people, but I think that what they're really getting people to do is like that. I don't know. It just seems like they're removing skills from them. And then they're pushing them into places where I think that's the thing. It's like the way that I see things. And of course, like kids, they don't always listen to their parents. But I was saying like the whole college thing, that a lot of these kids that do have a lot of gifts, but then they're pushing them into like an antiquated model, like going to college now to get to go into debt to get jobs that are not going to exist when they get out of school. They're going to be in debt, and then they're not going to have like the real job skills that the market as it's changing like super fast. Like these models of these schools are like dinosaurs now, even if dinosaurs aren't real. But the point is, these old models are not helpful, right? But it's kind of like that they are kind of these just cogs in the system. They're in the matrix. Like, like this is like the matrix schooling. So this is not actually teaching you anything that is helpful or useful other than to benefit this matrix that they're part of. They're the little batteries that are going to power this demonic machine.
Yeah, they're the little batteries for the next layer of useless eaters. How they want to pave the way for society going forward. That's exactly right. But no, it's I've always thought it's incredibly unfair to expect a 17 or 18-year-old to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives at 17 and 18.
Well, especially I just think the way the school model goes, it doesn't even really. It's just like I said, it's everything is so kind of. It's not like college where you like pick a specialty, like you pick a major, and then okay, so this is where this kind of limits like what you're going to do, or maybe like it focuses on what you want to do. So like they don't really even try to funnel people into it. So they make this like, they have this like kind of varied, like really broad brush, like of every bit of academics. And it's like, well, how would anyone know what they want to do then? It's like they're really not trying to promote specialties in school when they should. I mean, because there's a lot of jobs that they probably realize I don't need to go get a 4-year degree to do what I want to do. But people don't know. It's like I said, it's like lots of things that we do. It feels like that when you go punch the time clock, you work your 9-to-5 job, it's like you don't have time to do anything else. So like when you're just going to school and you're playing sports, you don't have time to think about that kind of thing. You think, well, I'll go to a 4-year school where I'll do beer bongs and regular bongs, and then I'll figure it out later.
Beer bongs and regular bongs.
And regular bongs too. But check this out. This is kind of what I mean about this next generation. I don't want to project any kind of evil over them, but the system that they're going into is cooked. Check this out.
In 1972, federal minimum wage was $1.60, but you only needed to make $3.51 per hour to afford a home. How do I know that? Math. Let's compare 1972 to today. In 1972, the median home was $27,000, meaning the average monthly payment was $170 without taxes and insurance, meaning you needed to make $7,300 a year to afford a home. That's $3.51 per hour for one job within that household. Let's compare that to today. 2026, the median home is $403,000. With interest rates at 6.2%, your monthly payment is not going to be $170 a month. It would be $2,230 a month without taxes and without insurance. Meaning, you don't need to just make double minimum wage. You need to make nearly double the median income of an American. You need to make $111,000 a year, according to the National Association of Realtors, to afford the median home in America. You have to make $53.37 just to qualify to afford a home in America, whereas in 1972, 2 people working minimum wage could afford a home.
That's some hate facts right there. Like, that sucks, but it's like, that's the truth though. So yeah, I have a lot of empathy for these kids because, well, like, what do they expect to do when that it's stacked against you that much? Now, I know that some people are going to achieve regardless and some people are going to do well, but the majority, I think that's got to be very daunting to think about that. I think that's why they go to a 4-year school, because it's like, it's this pie in the sky, like dream that, oh, well, I'll clearly make $111,000 a year and succeed and be able to buy the medium home. But then, of course, in 4 years, what will be the medium home costs? More than 403,000.
Well, and so much of it depends on what the parents' idea of success is. Because as these kids go into college or get to that age, no one can tell me they're not completely influenced and manipulated by whatever their parents' ideas of success are and what success should look like for them. It would be amazing if everybody, as they graduated or were nearing graduation, I was just thinking about this in my mind, if there was like a way for people to go to like a Walt Disney World that's not Disney, but like a giant swath of area or a giant like swath of land where they could try their hand at everything, right? Everything. Like pick every single thing in the world, whether it's like science, whether it's math, whether it's like working in a studio, whether it's making music, whether it's like tending to animals on a farm, whatever the case is, to give everyone the ability to live in this like ecosystem where like all of the things work together and serve each other, and everyone gets to try their hand at all of these things and see what they're good at. That's really how those 4 years should be spent, is figuring out like who's good at what naturally and what they have a natural desire to do. Because
aptitude tests. Like,
yeah,
hey,
dude,
you favor this.
Yes.
You should probably consider this.
1,000,000%, because that's what you're gonna like. Listen, I get it. Especially as men, at a certain point in time, we just got to buck up and do the thing, right? You're gonna have to make a job no matter what. So put in the time, work hard, do what you've got to do. But no one can convince me that you're not going to be 1,000,000% better at whatever you are doing if you want to do it.
Yeah.
If you're just naturally good at it.
If you're good at it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not what they want. They don't want that. They don't want people to succeed at the things that they're naturally good at. They want people to go into these categories, and they want people because they need people to do this. They need people to do that. So who cares what you want? Who cares
Well,
what
right,
you're good
because
at?
the people who achieve and they go in a different direction, they go against the grain, and then they carve out their own little niche, and they succeed. These people are problems for the system.
Well, yeah.
These people are not beneficial, even though you think, wait a minute, that doesn't make no sense, because if this person all of a sudden decides to not go to a 4-year school, ends up starting their own business and becomes a millionaire, well, that should help the tax base for the United States. They don't care about that. They don't care about the taxes as far as what they're actually bringing in. The only thing they care about the taxes is taken from you and I.
Yeah,
They
that's
want
exactly
the
right.
man wants to keep you down, and they want to repress the human spirit. Because yeah, you could do a lot of things, and I think that's the truth. Is like the whole thing is like we were told forever that you could be anything you want to be. Well, I mean, clearly that's a lie. But what do they always talk about? You could be a doctor, you could be an astronaut, you could be a race car driver, you could be something like that. They want you to be in one of the positions that they want you to be in, because all those other positions you can be controlled if you're one of those people. They didn't want you to be a podcaster.
Right.
Nobody wanted me to be a podcaster except for me. So like the thing is because it does cut against the grain, because I think some people look at it and they say, why the heck am I sitting in this cubicle? Why am I sitting in traffic going to a job I hate? Because you have to provide for your family. And then when you do that, you're like, well, I don't have time to go seek outside of this because I have to keep putting those checks in the bank. I have to keep paying those bills. That is being in the Matrix. And I don't want to talk about that anymore because it's
really quickly.
Okay.
It can be depressing. But the reason you have to do that is because they sold you a lie. They sold you an idea of you have to have this, you have to have the house, you have to have the white picket fence, you've got to have the wife, you've got to have exactly 2 kids, you've got to have the dog, you've got to have the car. It's like you've got to have all of these things. And when you get right down to it, this is all part of the spiritual battle that we're in, to get you to want the things you don't need, to get
go ahead.
No, to get you to think you need the things you really don't need, chasing all of the wrong things. Because if they've got you chasing everything in the world but Jesus, they're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's straight from not a godly movie, but this line is true. In Fight Club, the things that you own end up owning you.
Totally.
And it's like that line was absolutely facts, because it's like you have this character, Edward Norton, is totally miserable in his life. He's got all these kinds of weird things where he can't sleep. He's totally neurotic. He's got all kinds of issues, and he's got a decent job. And he was always saying, like, I want to build my apartment. And so if I get this couch, well, I've got that taken care of. If I get the right kind of furniture, if I get the right drapes and bedspread and all the things, and then I'll be complete, and then I'll feel good. And then I'll be able to enjoy what I've got. But that's not how life works. So all those things that you're always chasing after, it's like that's exactly what they want you to chase after. But it's like it's so hollow, it's so empty. And I wish more people would think about that. And that's the sad part, is like that I did go to Christian schools, but they'd always ask you, like, what do you want to do? But nobody really ever even asked me, like, what do you think God wants you to do?
Exactly.
I don't think I ever heard that. And if maybe they told me that and I didn't remember it. But I don't really remember that. It's like, what do you think God wants you to do? What do you think that you'd be like? What do you think you could do for the kingdom? Instead of like, what's the highest paying job you could possibly get?
Yep.
Based on what kind of grade you get.
Because
that's what it's all about. And it's like, it has nothing to do with it. And I think that, yeah, if I would have went into something a long time ago, that would have been something that I figured I was doing for the kingdom, I'd have been way happier. Now, I think the way life goes is sometimes you do have to make those mistakes to realize that you did it wrong. And again, I was ignorant of what was right and what was wrong. But check this out, Aaron. Okay.
One last comment.
Okay, well, that's the thing.
Have you seen the statistic on the percentage of entrepreneurs that ever even graduated high school?
I mean, I'm sure it's huge because those people knew like what they needed to do and they went and did it.
And the vast majority of them, of successful entrepreneurs, literally never even got their high school certificate. They never even graduated high school. Now, I'm not promoting people drop out for no reason, but like if you've got a vision and you know exactly what you want to do and you know how to do it and you've got the entrepreneurial mindset and you've got family that's willing to help you, at the very least graduate high school and then go after it.
Yeah,
like,
go do it.
Full charge. Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's really huge. I think my dad didn't graduate high school, but then he went back and got a GED, but he
created a business
it was very successful. It was very
Exactly.
successful. You don't need to. But I want to switch gears. I've been trying to switch gears even though this is an important topic. The Hoover Dam. Me and Aaron, I think one of the very first collaborations we ever did, we were talking about the Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam brought us together.
It was pretty interesting.
Did you know workers at Hoover Dam are literally getting lost in time? But in 2016, maintenance worker Jake Morrison entered Tunnel 3 for a routine 15-minute inspection. His supervisor watched him disappear into the darkness at 9 a.m. Jake didn't emerge until 5 p.m. 8 hours later, insisting he'd only been inside for minutes. Dam personnel quietly developed unofficial protocols after similar incidents. Never work alone in lower tunnels during night shifts. Carry multiple synchronized watches. Evacuate immediately if you hear machinery that doesn't match current operations, because affected workers all report the same terrifying experience. They encounter construction crews from the 1930s still building the dam. They hear old radio broadcasts. The concrete feels warm like it's still curing. An engineering investigation placed atomic clocks throughout the structure. The results were impossible. Time discrepancies of up to 6 hours between different sections. The deepest chambers showed temporal loops where the same 10 minutes repeated forever. Certain areas are now permanently restricted. The Bureau maintains special protocols for temporal displacement incidents. Hoover Dam broke more than just a river.
Full disclosure, 100% of the stuff that was mentioned in that video could be BS. But there's something really weird about the Hoover Dam altogether. I think particularly when I finally did go visit it, I think it's really weird when you go to visit the dam, they treat you like you're going into like Fort Knox or like the airport. Like okay, so I get it. You could have terrorism at there. And I want to say that right after 9/11, a lot of people did think that the Hoover Dam could have been one of the targeted places by, Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. Now, of course, us in this audience now, we know they were mostly BSing about everything they told us about that whole event and the aftermath. But why would you need to put people through such rigid security? Because like the dam it's pretty sturdy. I don't think that you're going to go in there with some kind of pocket device that could have any effect on that dam. And it's not like they even take you in. I don't think they even take you in a place where you could affect really anything. They got like a little museum there, and I think they do eventually take people into some like where near some of the machinery is. But you know what I'm saying? What's the deal with that?
No, the vibe is much more they're trying to protect something far more than the water flow or the dam.
Yeah, it's like a military.
Destroyed.
It's like going on a military base.
Yeah,
it's like.
There are so many peculiar things about it. I remember, so like when Obama got elected into office, I remember there's a picture of him for whatever reason. Why would the president be flown out to the Hoover Dam? There's a picture of him like observing the lower area of the Hoover Dam where the generators are, like at the very bottom of it. I remember there was a time when I think Trump was leaving office and his presidency was almost up the first time around. I remember seeing a picture of Ivanka from a helicopter looking down at the Hoover Dam. There's just all these really peculiar images and photos of famous people being at the Hoover Dam, like more so there than almost any other place. There's something to it. And I don't know if you ever saw, I think I'm remembering this right, or I saw a scene or a clip somewhere. I don't remember where I saw it because I didn't watch the whole series, but Westworld, one of the seasons starts out at the Hoover Dam, and it's basically a data center is what it is. And they've got massive hard drives there. And there's all kinds of, and that's what they're protecting there. But between the theory of it being a data center, between the the cube, right? Whatever that cube
Yeah, the
was in
Allspark.
Transformers, the
Yeah,
Allspark.
the Allspark.
In Transformers, being there, and just there's so many things. It does feel like there's something hidden there that they don't want everyone to know about. And one of the popular theories, of course, is that there's a craft there, which, again, you and I, we don't believe in outer space, but they believe something is there that's otherworldly, that they basically trapped inside of Hoover Dam for everyone's protection. So, but dude, there's something weird is going on there. It's not what we're told. I think that at the very least we can agree on that.
It's funny. So, yeah, like Aaron and I connected through talking about the Hoover Dam. I think I made content about that like in early 2022. And I think Aaron at one point, he kind of got around, he was talking about it. And then a lot of people were tagging me in his videos. And he's saying, hey, you need to talk to JT. And so eventually we did a podcast about that. And yeah, so my Hoover Dam video, which is funny, I reposted it over on Instagram. Every now and then, if I don't have anything to post, I'll just post something that's 4 years old. Because it's still relevant today. I mean, it's relevant as it was then. And a lot of people talked about the conspiracy theory about, that it was connected with 9/11. And then you had, if you fold a $50 bill a certain way, it totally looks like a dam breaking. And so that was funny because at that point I became like the Hoover Dam guy, like for like a minute over on TikTok, because I posted that video. And then, so everybody was tagging me when there was some kind of explosion at the Hoover Dam. And it was funny, I got in trouble over at TikTok. This is like, I wouldn't say this is my first account strike, but this was like maybe one of my last ones before I got banned. Check this out. I wonder if do you remember this, Aaron? This is funny. Maybe it wasn't funny, but it's amusing.
Folks, get your video on that. There's just been an incident here.
My goodness, something's just blown up.
Damn.
Something has just blown up.
Yeah, down at the bottom there, that's where like the generators are.
Yeah, well, you know what the official thing that blew up over there was?
Or transformer, I think.
A transformer.
Yeah. How ironic.
A transformer blew up at the Hoover Dam. Now, of course, nothing really happened. The structural integrity of the dam was not compromised. Anything happened there, but it was really funny. I got in trouble for that video. Can you explain what was wrong that I said? Of course, I did have the $50 bill picture up there. I said
dam, but nothing about it.
But I said DAM. I didn't say.
Yeah, of course.
With an N.
Yeah.
And yeah, but what a weird thing. Yeah, so you have this transformer explodes at the Hoover Dam. So the first Transformers movie, Megatron's kept under the dam. You have the Allspark there, this weird cube. It is interesting. For the past few years, they've been talking about the water levels in Lake Mead. You do kind of wonder if you're talking about connecting Westworld with some kind of data center. Now, like obviously the big public uproar about some of these data centers is how much water they use. Now, they say they use some kind of a loop of the water, so they really actually don't use very much water. They say they use like the same amount as like a 9-hole golf course or something. Now, whether that's true or not, I actually have no idea. But what if that's why the water levels were shrinking over at the Hoover Dam? Is because there was some massive data center that was there.
There's other people saying that the water that these data centers use is unusable after they use it. Like it can't be used for anything when they're done. I don't know if you've seen so in Michigan, there's a bunch of data centers that have gone up, and there's like cities, multiple cities, all of their water's brown now. It's unusable. Like they can't drink it, but the toilet water, the sink water, everything, all of their water is straight up dark brown now.
Well, the crazy part is that, like, let's just say you have a power plant. They have these water-cooled towers and these things, and that's why where you get, like, even at, like, a nuclear power facility, that's where you get all the steam coming up, is because they're cooling stuff with water. But they're not pulling the water straight from the ground. They've got other water that's coming in there. And I did see an interesting video about the data center thing. This guy who supposedly, he was at one of these town halls or whatever, and all these people were pissed off that they were putting a data center near their city. And he was saying like that his job is he built these huge data centers for these large computer companies. And he was saying that he's never used a gallon of water for anything because what they usually do was, or what they used to do was like air cooled stuff. So they would have like fans and stuff in there. But he was saying it's more expensive to do that. So the whole reason they're doing the water stuff is because it's ultra cheap. And he said later they can, even if they said they could use up all the water and then they could later put these fans in there, but it costs them more money to do that. And that's what he's basically saying. Like the difference is they are doing everything on the cheap, and they're really not worried about the places that they're putting their data centers at and the results for the people there.
But you do bring a valid point, and that is that the lake, the reservoir there, the lake behind the dam is dramatically lower.
Oh, yeah.
So where did all of that water go?
Well, they're saying it's because of drought, and I guess I'm not saying that's not the reason, but I guess the truth is if there was a drought and they were using the water, like how would you know?
You wouldn't, because
You'd have no idea.
I've seen videos of people from Arizona that are showing these canals. Like there's been people that have been posting videos of these massive tubes where water's being siphoned out of these water canals and just drained in the desert. Just drained. And they're spewing hundreds of gallons of water, if not thousands of gallons of water an hour, just being wasted. So it's like, I don't know, drought is doesn't seem very likely.
I guess the truth is we can't trust these people. So we really don't know. I said I was actually just on a podcast the other day, and they were asking me like, what's kind of almost the danger with the church and maybe even like the conspiratorial church? And I said, the truth is we really don't know what is the truth about lots of these things we're talking about. We can theorize, but the truth is some people, because they don't believe the mainstream, they'll make up their own facts and truth about everything and be so solidified in their own theories about these things. I think both things are just as dangerous, believing what we're taught on the news and by our government versus believing the most radical ideas you hear on TikTok. Both places are super scary.
I agree.
But when it came down to it, I remember back during the dark times of 2020, 2021, and I knew people were getting banned for saying all kinds of things, and some of those people probably deserve to get banned for some of the stuff they were saying.
Oh, for
But
sure.
I had no idea if they were right or they were wrong because who could you ask?
No, there needs to be a balance between freedom of speech and I don't know. It's funny, right? Because as the older we get, the more wisdom we see in some guardrails. Whereas when we're younger, we just think that everyone's against us. But I see people online now spewing things as fact, blatant fact. This isn't the real reason why, blah, blah, blah. It's because of this. And it's because this. And I'm honestly, dude, it turns my stomach because I go, dude, I was that guy. I did that for a short while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I put videos together and I said, instead of, and I really very quickly got to a point where there were more questions being asked. Is it this way? Is it that way? Which can also be dangerous because you're still influencing people's, or suggesting things. And I think that we need to always stay in a place of questioning and entertaining different ideas other than what we're being told.
Yeah.
Always.
Rational skepticism.
Always. Yes.
Rational skepticism. But
always.
A lot of this skepticism turns into irrational, just garbage. I mean,
Dude.
Of course, if it was me and it was my platform, I guess I would err on the side of letting everybody say whatever. And then let's combat some of the misinformation with the truth and real information.
Yeah, you have
the thing
to
is,
at least...
I guess that's the thing. It's that from our perspective, if you do believe in a nefarious hidden hand, of course, if the video is true, it would get banned, right? So, if they start banning videos, well, then that actually only perpetuates the idea that they got banned for saying something that's true, not for something false. So it's better to say, keep the video up and then debunk the video or something like that. But they don't do that. So I think, it kind of plays into maybe their hand that like we don't know what's true, and I think that's probably what they really want.
No, that is what they want. I mean, in one of Obama's favorite speeches, he talks about flooding the town center with enough disinformation to confuse
Garbage,
everybody.
just pushing it all out there, and then undermines the whole idea of what is true and what's not, and then people decide what they want to believe based on their hearts.
Yeah, and the first thing he said in that statement was how to topple a nation. This is how you topple a nation, and that's where we're at. I see these videos constantly. I don't know, man. One of the worst, you're going to laugh when I say this, but one of the worst things they ever did was monetize social media. Because everybody's just chasing that bag now, and they will say whatever it takes, which again, it's like saying social media is the problem. It's like, no, people are the problem. Like it's the lack of morals that's the problem. Social media has just made it easier for people to exercise their freedom of lack of morals and making money saying whatever they want. But it's
well, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's kind of like I was talking about, especially when you talk about, like, we showed examples of those pastors who are maybe not great shepherds. You could knock down every one of them today. You could rebuke them, you could expose them, and guess what? There'd be another one tomorrow. They would fill their spot because the people want that. Those people wouldn't have those big congregations unless the people wanted it. And that's why Jesus says, woe to you when all men speak well of you. So their forefathers spoke well of the false prophets.
Well said.
So if you knock down one false prophet, they're going to just ask for another one.
It's true.
Because they want their ears itched. They're tickled. They want tickling ear doctrines.
They need their ears tickled.
They do.
So you were talking about the drought. It made me think about the sun, and it made me think about the heat, and it made me think about how dramatically things have changed. And I just remember in my gut and in my heart, I felt a shift on April 8th, 2024, when that eclipse took place, and nothing has felt the same since then. Nothing has felt the same. The sun, at least, certainly hasn't felt the same. And I actually have a video to kind of maybe support that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. This will probably be the last one.
People are saying the sun is different. Look, we live at Smith Mountain Lake. I want to show you something. I've got this Coke I've got this right here, half full. I'm going to set it on this tractor for 1 week in the sun, and I'll be back. Today is June 3rd, and I'm setting it right here. Right there it is. I'll be back in a week. All right, so today is June 10th. Now I want you to look at this. 1 week's time. That was Coke. And look at the label. So it was sitting like that right there, with that exposed to the sun. Look at that. And look at the Coke. 1 week in our sun at Smith Mountain Lake.
That's crazy. You know, I've been to Smith Mountain Lake a couple times. That's a really cool place. Another place created by a dam over there, as most the massive recreational lakes in the country are created by dams.
You're just full of all the damn knowledge.
Yep, it's quite a dam. But yeah, that's weird because I was expecting it to not look any different. I thought he was going to say that the sun is not as hot or bright as it normally is, and that's why you should expect some fading or discoloration of the cola.
Dude, it changing the color of the cola is insane.
Like
I was
pee.
less impressed by the label changing because, like, I think the sun would have always done a little bit of that, you know, like. But dude, what it actually did, it's so bizarre. I would expect something that's under constant, like, bright LEDs to do what that did.
Yeah, that was. Man, I might have to.
Let's do our own experiments.
Yeah,
I'll do one if you do one.
Try that.
Okay, I'll literally. I will set a bottle out today if you do the same thing.
Yeah, of course. Aaron being in the hot Arizona sun, I mean, especially this time of year, like, how hot is it today where you're at?
Let's look. It's just starting to get hotter. It is. The high today is, well, it's 101 right now. The high is 105.
Man, it's
where we're
gonna
at get today up to 108.
Yeah, where we're at today is, I think it's 97. but man, it's really humid here. It feels like you're in an oven. It feels so horrible. It's like being outside for 5 minutes sucks right
Dude,
now.
East Coast humidity in the summertime is absolutely miserable. I would rather suffer almost any kind of punishment outside of that.
Well, when I visited you last year, I guess it was end of October. I think it was in the 90s, and it was hot. I mean, it's not cool, but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, because there was no humidity. There was no humidity, and at nighttime it was in the 70s.
Here in the 90s is awful. It's awful.
Yeah, it's
but
not
yeah,
the
anyways,
same.
back to that Coke bottle. That seems weird. Yeah, I think we need to check that. Especially, we've got people from all over the country, including the world. It was funny. I shared with you guys that I came in second, or I came in like the top 5 in what was it, Slovenia, like the JT's mixtape, as far as like
crazy.
the audio podcast. Like,
yeah.
We got people all around the whole Earth, not globe, in this audience. So I would be curious if we had people do that in multiple places, like what would end up happening. It's kind of crazy that it would fade the bottle so much. You'd almost expect like the plastic to melt a little bit, as hot as that was.
Yeah,
but you didn't have that. I did see a really interesting video the other day about people having a weird phenomenon where they look like almost they had like cigarette burns or some kind of a melting in their car. You ever seen any videos like that?
No.
Where people would later accuse, like, you had a rental car and people would think that, oh, you were smoking in here, you weren't supposed to, because there's a burn mark in like the leather seats or the vinyl.
Like a concentrated magnifying glass sun.
Yeah, but
it
it turns out that what people end up doing was, in some cases, all they had was a water bottle in their car. And the light reflected through, like the sun reflected through the water bottle and focused a beam like on their leather seat. And it burned a hole.
Insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, and some people, like, it's like women, they had like a compact, they had some kind of a little mirror, and they had the mirror sitting somewhere on the console, and it burned a hole through their visor in their car. So people are like, think it's like a total mystery, but it's like, it wouldn't take very long once that beam is focused. Because if you ever back in the day used to burn leaves or like ants with a magnifying glass, if you get the beam right, it will catch something on fire in like 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen, there's a guy on TikTok, he might be on all social media, but I saw a guy on TikTok, I think he's from Arizona. He took out the screen of one of those old widescreen projection TVs. You know, the old ones that had the screens that, like, you could, if you scratch, they make a noise because they're plastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he got one of those TVs, took the screen out of it, and he mounted it in this like wooden frame. And he uses that to concentrate the laser focus of the sun. And he like explodes things with it and catches them on fire faster than anything I've ever seen.
I've seen that guy's videos, but I never knew that where he got the thing. I didn't know he got
That's
it from
all
a
it
TV.
is, dude. That's all it is. It's just the plastic
he, like,
screen
melts
from the little
concrete
TVs.
with that thing.
I know he does, dude. Isn't that insane?
Well, I know if you really think about it, that we haven't talked about it in a while on this podcast, but like the idea of like a direct energy weapon. The sun, if you could focus it, man, you could burn almost anything.
Yeah, dude. That's all you got to do is harness it. You don't need any energy. You don't need any energy source whatsoever. I mean, you'd be at the mercy of it being out, of course. So it wouldn't serve you like in a war purpose unless it was a bright day with no clouds. But yeah, that's all you need. And his content is proof of that. It's totally made me want to get, I wouldn't even know where to find one of those. I'm sure that there's some in existence somewhere at a pawn shop somewhere, something like that. But it's so fascinating, man. Like the inner boy in me wants to make one of those and just start destroying stuff with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I got one of those flamethrowers on TikTok Shop.
Did you?
Yeah, I got scammed a little bit. You know how they show you on those videos, and I guess I didn't even look close enough before, because if you have weeds, because that's what it's like, a little kind of a flamethrower type device, and you hook it up to like a propane tank.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a big one or I can use a little one. And they always show you in the videos that they're just cutting right through it, like, just 2 seconds of putting this on like your weed. It just like they're gone. No, unfortunately, I remember even just trying to burn like the weeds that kind of grow up in between your driveway, like like the kind of where they kind of come together. Like there's like that wood that separates the driveway.
Yeah.
It was catching the wood on fire because it was taking so long to burn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it
Because
takes.
they're so healthy. They're growing,
Well, I
growing
guess
tall
the
and
truth
green.
is, you could burn something that was dead real fast. Again, like burning leaves.
Oh, easily.
But burning something that's alive takes a minute. So, anyways, now all I do use it for is lighting my fire pit, which is pretty awesome. That works pretty good. So I won't say that you shouldn't get it, but don't expect great results. And especially if you have mulch, you're gonna light your whole house on fire.
Yeah.
If you try to burn the leaves, because you're gonna light all that mulch on fire.
Takes
The
more
mulch will
work,
catch on
but-
fire before the weeds do. Put it that way.
Yeah, I believe that. It takes more work, but a weed whacker is going to always be the way to go, man.
Poison.
I mean, that
Unfortunately,
works
you're
too.
Yeah.
You
I
can
guess
kill
you probably
other
shouldn't
things
use
though with it.
Roundup. And that's kind of was that glyphosate? Is that what that is?
All kinds of harmful stuff in that, and conspiracies behind the parent companies and who knows what. But I also know that depending on how potent of the spray you use, or if you use like professional grade stuff and mix your own, whatever, if you don't spray exactly the weeds, like you can kill your trees with it.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. But back to the Coke bottle experiment. I encourage people to try that. I'll just say this though. It's actually seems better to me. It actually seems more like it's the real sun if it did that, because the real sun we know is powerful. It's hot, it's bright. And it actually makes me think that the Coke is less harmful, because if it didn't change at all, then it would make me think there was something. It's almost like if nothing changed, it would be weird. It kind of reminds me of the tests where people take like a McDonald's hamburger and French fries, and then they're like 10 years old, and they have not changed one bit. So it's almost like food or drink that you put outside, you leave outside, and if it's ruined in a week, that's probably normal, right? But if nothing changes, well, that's really kind of spooky, right?
I don't know, man. 1 week of normal sun. I mean, it's kind of an odd test to begin with, because like, who has a memory of leaving their Coca-Cola outside for a week and keeping an eye on it? You know what I mean?
Well, the question I have is, okay, so the sun is acting weird. Why would you use a Coke bottle in the first place with Coca-Cola in it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the litmus test was a strange choice, and I'm even questioning myself now and wanting to try it, because I do want to try it.
Okay, so what does it prove?
These are the questions. And see, this is the way everyone needs to work through these thought experiments before you just go out saying stuff and doing stuff. You got to talk through it and work through it. I'm still going to do it because I'm fascinated to see what happens, because there's a place that I can put a bottle where it will get some of the morning sun, it will get the entire afternoon sun, and most of the setting sun. So I'm curious to see what will happen to it. But
we need some tests, though. You need milk, you need Pepsi, and then you need maybe like orange juice or something. Do you need multiple things that you could test?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I'll have to get like a clear bottle to put the milk in. I'll figure something out. Yeah, I like this. We'll see what happens. The results.
Maybe
will
it'll
be
make
on
some weird strain of cheese.
Oh gosh. Let's mess with it. Let's screw with it. Let's push this further.
Yeah, whatever you do, go beyond what you think is possible. Go like further.
It smells hideous, and it's growing things on it. Let's push this further.
Yeah, let's keep going. Well, anyways, guys, on that note, again, you guys can try that at home if you'd like. If not, just continue to watch this podcast, and we'll try to keep you updated. But either way, guys, if you guys like these podcasts and you guys want to watch them early and uncensored, please consider supporting this podcast over on Patreon. If you want merch, that's also a great way to help this podcast out. Look at my website, JTFollowsJC. You can find t-shirts, tank tops, hats, all that kind of thing. Also, if you guys are looking to make social media content, please check out the Echoes of Truth Network. If you have a message, you know how to say it, we can maybe help you do that. Also, if you really want to get healthy and support this podcast, check out Modern Roots Life, the sponsor of this podcast. Win, win, win. And otherwise, guys, I just appreciate you guys watching, listening, sharing, subscribing, liking all the things. Appreciate you guys. Love you, and see you next time.
JT's mixtape, now a show about history, faith, and truth, with the sound and the conversation we've never heard before. JT's mixtape, now there's a podcast that has exactly what we've been looking for all of us who will not compromise. Listen, JT created mixtape for us. Woo!